sometimes you just dip into less than stellar feelings or less than stellar thoughts and not quite understanding where that's coming from, or not understanding with all it is that you've accomplished, why you're still not fulfilled. Like, you achieve a goal and that goal just multiplies. Like, you achieve a goal, that goal turns into more, right? So it's just a never ending cycle of things. Hello, Libra. Welcome to your August soul session. I'm Princess India. If you're new and if you're family, welcome back. I'm gonna take that. My friend and whatnot, or whatever. If you're not familiar with what my soul sessions are, they are your spirituality as well as personal development readings, in which we look at the energies that you guys may encounter for a given month for the sole purpose of giving you clarity, insight, and guidance on different things you guys may encounter this month. I'll take that too. But I'm going to go ahead and jump into your reading, my friends. The first card out. Wait, this is the Urban Tarot. Okay, that's the Five of Cups. So they're kind of different, so bear with me. So we have the Five of Cups in the reverse, and it says disappointment on it. Interesting. And then the next card that we have is the Nine of Pentacles. Well, I mean, if that's not a glow up, I don't know what is. So here is the dealio, my Libran friend. Oddly enough, this is very similar to Virgo and Leo's reading already, just with the first two cards you guys have coming out of July into August. So if you're a cusper or you have that in your chart, go check that out. But with this Five of Cups in the reverse, it's more or less literally a disappointment that occurred in you guys' past, something that kind of fell through the cracks. And it's an energy that you guys are carrying with you. And I'm going to say before I go further, of course, readings bleed into each other, but it's a general theme that I'm seeing so far, just with the signs that I've done up to this point, where it's almost an old wound, if you will, that's been kind of existing beneath the surface. And August seems to be the month in which this thing is coming to the fore in order to be dealt with. So more or less, with this particular grief, loss, disappointment, what have you, this existing underneath the surface for some time now. For others of you, this could literally be something that kind of fell through the cracks at the end of July. But the energy that feels heavier for me is of this being something that's kind of long reaching. And I feel it leads to this feeling of needing to do things on your own, because the scenario would be more or less that in Libra's life, or one particular instance in which you put the power in someone else's hands. Like, you were looking for someone to kind of help you out, whether this is like a business partnership, if it's a relationship, it could be the relationship with your parents. And it's being disappointed in the sense that who this person was supposed to be to you, or this help they were signing on to offer, it's them kind of dropping the ball, and Libra making it up within themselves that, you know, if I don't do it, no one else, you know, will, you know. So it's this fierce independence, right? But the positive thing with this is I feel that you guys are in a good place at present, you know. Aside from this kind of lingering underneath it, it's more or less, this feels like something that molded you all, you know. It's this thought of, I don't want to go as far as saying that you would feel that you don't need people, but it's just the thought of not relying on other people, or not ever putting yourself in a position to where you need other people or would rely on them. But why this is important and why this is coming up is because it's a scenario in which a life experience has molded and shaped you into who you are. And there's this whole theme again in the month of August with authenticity and how it is that we've gotten off track with ourselves. Now, in Libra's situation, this would be something that's fairly positive, right? Because being disappointed or being let down by people in your past has led you to a place to where you are fiercely independent and successful, right? And you're self-reliant. That's a good thing, right? Sometimes when less than stellar things happen to us in our experience, how we transform from that sometimes doesn't manifest as something good as the Nine of Pentacles would represent. However, I feel what the message is, at least in contrast to this Five of Cups in the reverse and the Nine of Pentacles, is more or less being conscious or being aware of where this came from. Because what it feels like is Libra would be going through life today, right? Saying, you know, oh, I'm independent, or, you know, I don't ever leave stuff up to other people. Like, I'm very self-reliant. I don't typically, you know, lean on people, right? And kind of writing it off as like a personality trait. Like, this is just how you are. But there's some sense of needing to know that this isn't something that's inherent to your personality. And not saying that for like all Libras out there in the world, that is not inherent to a Libra's personality to be like a self-starter, you know? But I feel specifically for who resonates with this message, it's important for you guys to remember that you being fiercely independent and doing things on your own, or the path that you're on now with like career upward advancement, that it doesn't come from like you just were born and this is who you've always been. There's some element of you guys needing to acknowledge the fact that it was a disappointment by one person, several people, what have you, that led you to be this way. I feel what you would get from that is going to be different for each person. However, it's relevant. Now, the next card is the Temperance in the reverse. That's interesting. It's the art card in this deck. So it's more or less like emotional unrest, emotional upheaval, or feeling kind of, I don't want to say that word, up and down, right? It's feeling kind of up and down, which of course goes back to this Five of Cups in the reverse. And this creates this whole contrast that I was just explaining. And I just think it's hilarious because we're going back to the whole scales thing that happened last month. So literally, the thing that would be causing this off-kilter feeling with you guys, Libra, like meaning no matter how good things are going or how much you've built for yourself or how much it is that you achieved, why it is you guys may sometimes flop to like the other side of the Likert scale and feel less than stellar, has a lot to do with why it's so important to acknowledge this, right? Because if we're speaking about this in the context of aligning with one's authenticity, it's not saying that you shouldn't be self-reliant, right? Like being responsible, you know, being a self-starter and things of the sort. These are all positive qualities and skill sets. However, embracing it as if it's like a modification to self. And it's making me think of Serena the Healer right now, because I'm thinking about the podcast that we did on what it means to be feminine. So we were talking about like feminine energy, the divine feminine energy, and like masculinity and females and things of the sort. And it's making me think about that conversation that we had of how the way that society is structured now, or the way that families are set up now, that, you know, the nuclear family isn't necessarily the atypical standard that everyone is in, like, you know, 2 parents and kids, things of the sort, that it requires women, especially like in the workforce, to take on a lot of masculine characteristics, right? Or traits or behaviors or what have you. I personally believe that Western society, in order to be successful or to succeed in Western society, it's like, that's where toxic masculinity comes from. I'm not saying that men are toxic, but meaning like that, you know, self-starter, aggressive, I'm a do it myself type of energy, but it's acting in this way and it going unchecked and thus becoming off balance with this temperance in the reverse. So I say all of that to say that that energy signature is very much what it is that I'm seeing with Libra, and it's a need to recognize that. So if I put it into the context of what we were talking about on the podcast with the feminine energy, it would be recognizing, like, if you are a girl, right, and you realize Wow, I have been, because I'm in the corporate world. So I have been, or I've adapted to operating in my masculine energy, and I've been neglecting my feminine energy. The reason why one would be feeling off kilter or off balance, or your emotions kind of going up and down, is because, and that's the reason why I didn't want to say what it is that I was hearing. The reason why you're feeling kind of off balance is because it's a symptom of a deeper problem. The deeper problem being what this Five of Cups in the reverse represents. It's this disappointment that one experienced way back when, and that's why I say it's like, for some of you, this could literally be just, I could make this real simple. If we were to put this on the most mundane level, if this is a disappointment that happened at the end of July, this would literally be, the job you really wanted, you didn't get, and then you ended up getting another job. It's not a horrible job, but it's not the one that you wanted. But then it's kind of looking like, why am I not happy when I have this job? Why am I still sad? And the thing that would need to be recognized is the fact of you didn't get the job you wanted, right? So that would be it in the most mundane sense. But how it is that I'm feeling this is something that has been existing with you guys for some time, right? So it's more or less this being a symptom of the deeper problem being the disappointment, meaning that there were modifications made to who you are as an individual because of a disappointment in the past, right? It's not saying throw the baby out with the bathwater and, just completely reverse everything it is that you became. But I feel there's some sort of transformation that happens in the month of August that gets you guys back into alignment with yourself as well as with spirit, by recognizing that the life you're living right now today, the person that you have created up until this point, is a byproduct, not of your is not a full byproduct of your MBTI or your astrology chart, or your numerology chart, your human design chart. You are a byproduct of that. However, in reference to this fierce independence, solo dolo, I don't need nobody, I got this myself type of deal, it's needing to recognize that that's not a trait that's inherent to your specific personality, who this resonates for. And it's a need to acknowledge that who you have become was in response to being let down in the past, right? And the reason why there's this off-kilter feeling, or even it could be, if it's not just emotional, it's just kind of feeling like you don't belong, or feeling kind of like the odd person out, or that, whatever the case, it's just feeling off balance in whatever sense. That is the symptom of the problem being not recognizing that who you have become is in response to a disappointment you guys have experienced in the past. I hope and pray that that makes sense, because that was a whole mouthful there, but I hope that that's making sense. The next card that you guys have is the Seven of Wands in the reverse. And I'm gonna be honest with it, it's feeling like a failure. And that's still, again, tied to whatever this disappointment was. And this really feels a lot to me like family of origin kind of stuff. So here's the thing, Libra, it's being on a hamster wheel, right? No matter how hard you fight, how much time, energy, and effort you put into things, no matter how hard in the paint you go, right? It's almost combating this, what do you call it? What is the term for this? It's so simple and it's at the tip of my tongue. Imposter syndrome, right? It's like an imposter syndrome. So it's this thought of, and what's so interesting about this is because it's fighting this inanimate entity object, right? It's a mindset that you're really fighting, that all goes back to this disappointment that you've experienced with someone in the past, and it's affected you a great deal. So it's almost like, in contrast, how I'm seeing it is, it's feeling like a failure. It's feeling not enough, right? And the way that one is combating that is by getting all of the physical trappings of what's in contrast to that, of like getting degrees, making money, starting businesses, being in the public eye, like whatever the case may be, or it just being that fierce independence of you having your nest egg, you taking care of yourself and not really involving other people in that process. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, that's how one self-protects. That's how one feels this sense of security in response to this feeling that's happening underneath it all, right? But again, it still goes back to this 5 of Cups in the reverse of that needing to be recognized, because this is subconscious. So it's not being consciously aware. The only thing that Libra would be consciously aware of is the fact that despite everything that you're doing, it's sometimes you just dip into less than stellar feelings or less than stellar thoughts and not quite understanding where that's coming from, or not understanding with all it is that you've accomplished, why you're still not fulfilled. Like you achieve a goal and that goal just multiplies. Like you achieve a goal, that goal turns into more, right? So it's just a never ending cycle of things. But with this 2 of Pentacles, it's calling for a change. It's calling for you guys to come to a place of balance within as well as without. But the main thing that's been throwing that off kilter, and I know this is hella repetitive, but it's this disappointment that occurred way back when, you know, like that's literally, whoa, okie dokie, lemon chokey. I'm gonna take this because it fell face up. That's the 9 of Wands. Yeah, dude. So it's all about you guys persevering and pushing through. That's like wounded warrior energy. It's, and I said similar to this in Virgo's extended. I don't remember if it was on YouTube or if it was in the extended that I said this, but it's almost like all of the experiences in your life, it's misunderstanding why it is that you went through them. It's like you did not go through what you went through to be punished or to feel downtrodden, to feel less than, you know, because God hates you, because of bad juju, bad karma, whatever. It's like there's 2 sides of the sword in every situation. And even if we find ourselves in less than stellar situations, or we make a mistake or we make a bad choice and we face consequences, the light in that and the gift in that is that every situation and circumstance always possesses within itself a lesson, right? As a gift, right? So the key is here is to persevere, right? There could be the potential that with this feeling off kilter, that could be something that someone accepted, because the thing is, like the thing I said that I heard I didn't want to say is because I heard a diagnostic term. And I didn't want to say it because vibrationally to me, it doesn't feel right, because I feel a person could be putting themselves under this term of a diagnosis, like not saying that you got diagnosed by a licensed mental health professional, because that's the only people who should be diagnosing you, by the way, but that's neither here nor there. But it's like, you know, kind of doing a Google search of feelings, emotions, and behaviors, or listening to like a YouTube video and being like, ooh, that sounds like me. And like now labeling yourself that. And the thing that I'm realizing is that with this that I'm seeing, it looks a lot like something that would warrant a diagnosis, but I don't see it as that diagnosis. I feel that this is a self-denial, right? In a thought pattern, right? That if a person tried to self-diagnose themselves, you could mistakenly think it was this particular diagnosis. When in truth, this is just a response. It's your mind and your emotions response to something that's being denied and something that needs to be faced. So it's really a perspective shift, right? So it's the fact that a lot, like I said, again, in Virgo's reading, it's what's being projected to the external world and what's happening behind what it is that's being projected to the external world are not in cohesion. So who one is, right, and what they're doing are out of sorts. And everything that you're experiencing with this imbalance, right? And I'm just saying this specifically, like I said, this is not for everyone. So like I said, if you've been diagnosed, I'm not saying that. But for who it is that resonates with this, these symptoms that you're experiencing, proverbial symptoms, right? They're all pointing to this imbalance. The fact that one is not living in alignment, one isn't living authentically, even though there's the potential that one could think they are, which is why it's so important with this disappointment to recognize that the human that has been created today, like meaning how you've morphed and changed your personality, how you, well, you can't change your personality, but how you relate to people, right? That this is a byproduct of a pain and disappointment. It's not who you are, but it's mistakenly identifying yourself as this is who you are. And this imbalance, the only reason why it's there is to show you like, yo, this is not who you are. This was a defense mechanism, if you will. You know, this is a coping mechanism that you used to prevent yourself from ever experiencing whatever this disappointment was again. But this is not who you are. But it's not saying, because it's going to be different for each of you, that you need to change that. You know what I'm saying? It's just more or less, this is speaking to an integration that needs to happen, right? It's getting back on track with yourself, you know, and fighting through what this is that you guys are experiencing. So I hope that makes sense, Libra. Whoo, child, I just said buku words, but I'm going to pull a card for you guys from the Rebel Oracle deck that I love so much because it lets me cuss, you know what I'm saying? To see what additional information I can give you all. I really hope that made sense. Oh, and I forgot to say that Sagittarius energy with this Temperance in the reverse. I really hope that makes sense. This is funny. It says you need some fucking yoga in your life. Ancient shit is cool. No, I'm saying. I feel that, dude. I really feel why this is important with this whole yoga deal is because it's less on the side of just like, because I mean, yoga is beneficial regardless. But if we're talking about like Kundalini yoga or the mental yoga that Yogananda practiced, that would be of utmost importance to you guys, is integrating a mindfulness practice to where you can be still and gain dominion over your body so you can attune to your mind and your inner sanctum, right? Because I feel it's being so much in your head, but in your conscious head, like your conscious mind. So your thoughts, being aware of what you're thinking, but it's things that are in your subconscious with these symptoms that are coming to the fore. So it's making the subconscious conscious or making the unconscious conscious. And there's a lack thereof of slowing down in order for that to happen, because it's a lot of doing and thinking, masculine energy, and it's a lack thereof of feminine energy, which is receiving, right? That passivity and receiving, right? So more or less, it's that hamster wheel comes in the fact that, I mean, if we were to get real like existential with it, it's literally the fact that in life, there is nowhere to go and nothing to do in a very literal sense. If you spend your life, right, constructing a staircase and ascending that staircase, you can get to the top and realize that it goes nowhere. Like all of us are on a very level playing field. You know what I'm saying? But you have to really understand what I'm saying to know what I'm saying. You feel me? But anywho, but you realize ascending that staircase, it really goes nowhere, right? And to look out into chaos, organized chaos, that of which is the world that we live in, and try to get any sense of truth or clarity, it's always going to disappoint you. It's like what everyone on planet Earth is looking for, you're not going to find it in the external world because it's not there. You know what I'm saying? So the whole premise of this is more or less like resurrecting your divine feminine energy, whether you're a male or a female. And this goes perfectly back to Leo's reading, which you can watch still because we're in Leo season. So it's like a collective energy. It's coming back to the inner divine feminine, like to that high priestess energy, right? Because until we do, everything, the entire collective is going to be off kilter. You feel what I'm saying? So I think that would be something great to implement. But anywho, Libra, I hope and pray that that made sense, my friend. I'm going over to my network to do you guys extended. So if you're about that life, follow me on over there. But if not, I still love your freaking face. And I will see you guys sooner than later, my friends.